emails going to teaching methods and this sort of thing and this sort of thing.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Anyways. Right. Oh, microphone. Thanks. Okay, YouTube, we're online. Second. You can switch. You can switch it. Yeah, I use that.
But then you was
Right. Here we go. Oh, you're willing to kill? Come on, check this out.
You want to see, sir?
No,
I can show it to you if you like.
No, I just want to know. I don't want to see, I want to know.
I think you know it now.
I think I know. Okay, right. Sorry we're a little late. I'm not sure what to do about that, but that's fine. We have to move on. My mistake, so one of you send me an email and spoke to me on Monday. Okay, right. One of you spoke to me on Monday and sent me an email about seeing your test. So all of you, you can have a look at your test, that's fine, I don't mind. But I cannot give it to you because we need to archive it. We need to speak for the moderator, the one that kind of stuff. I don't know how other people handle the tests. I'm not going to photocopy all 160 tests. So you're welcome, honestly, you're welcome to please just make an appointment because I've been really busy. I haven't even responded to your emails and everybody's sent them, but I will do so shortly. It's just been a little busy the last few days. But make an appointment and you're welcome to come and look at your test, ask questions about it, and I won't judge you. And yeah, I'm fine with that. But so that's a test issue. We have to move on because within the next 2 weeks we're going to do everything substantive. Oh no, that's the wrong word. We're going to finish everything we need to know about Java in this course. And after that, that may be a conflict with mic. Okay, now there's feedback on YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. A little quieter. There we go. So this week and next week we're going to do the kind of substantive work on Java, and then we'll be done with Java in a sense. Because when we start talking about graphics, when we start talking about recursion, and this last stuff about universal computability, that's we'll still be using Java, we'll still be writing programs in Java, but we'll be talking about a little higher level. How do you approach certain problems? Recursion is an important technique, that's why we're spending such a long time on it. But it's something that's almost independent of programming languages. You can use it in any language. Not every language has libraries and clients or static methods. All the things we're learning about Java is quite Java specific. And it might be that it's true that not all languages do have static methods. And not all languages have the same kind of input and output. So exactly these kinds of statements that we've been looking at. But once we finish next week, we do our written test, the second written test, we will have finished all of Java-specific stuff, and then we move on to higher-level stuff, which is really exciting. When our students, we've taught many languages. We've taught languages, some of us that you've never even heard of, and that don't exist anymore, that we relegate to the archives, but we don't really care about the language because it's not. We're not teaching you Java. We're trying to teach you to program, and unfortunately, we have to do some Java. But in the process of that, we are learning how do you do for loops, how do you do iteration, how do you do selection, how do you do if statement, and we expect our students. Second year, you're going to learn, if you're not already learning Python and C also, and assembly languages, 3 more languages, and you'll still be using Java. And after that, the third year, we expect our students to be able to pick up any language, or almost any language, that we tell them to use. So if we tell you to use Pascal, then you have to wonder, how does Java map to Pascal? I know how to do this in Java, but how do I do it in Pascal? And in about 2 weeks, you should be able to master Pascal. Okay, that's a long way of getting to this slide, which is an amazing achievement, because we've done assignments and declarations and permits and data types, we've done all of this. We did a little math, and we did a lot of text. We know how to flip system blend and use the math functions. We've done conditionals, we've done loops, we did arrays very quickly, but we did not start using them. And we just barely started on graphics. Perhaps haven't talked about sound and images yet, we'll get back to that. But now we're going to talk about functions and modules, which is something really important that you need to write big programs. And after that, we are done. We're not going to talk about objects or any program you might want to write. Objects come in the second semester. So the whole of the second semester is just this one little block, objects. It's really important because Java is what's called an object-oriented language. So objects are a kind of integral part of Java. We're not really using them, touching on them in this course. But we are doing functions and modules. So what's a function? You have already seen many, many functions. You've been using them. Math.sign, math.cos, cosine, I guess, math.exp. You've been using other functions, I think, that you didn't know were functions, like system.out.println. That's really a function that you're calling. It doesn't sound like a value, so it's not the kind of function you used to at school, but it does do something. It does perform some kind of function. It has a functionality. But when we think of functions, we usually think of some kind of thing we did at school. It takes inputs. I send it the value, not sign. I send it one value, not three, but I send it the value. And it sends back the value of the function. So it will send that sign of x, that value, physical value. And I can store that in a double, or I can show it on the screen, I can do things with it, store it in an array, what have you. So we know what a function is, but we want to implement our own functions, because Java may not have what we want. Java may not provide the functionality that we are really interested in. This is like being on a submarine. In time to time, there's a strange noise. It sounds like the hull is going to crash in. I don't know how to react. So we want to write our own brand new functions, the ones that we can't find in the library. I think it's a combination of my, perhaps if I switch off the microphone or the sound of this. Didn't really help. Okay, never mind. Let's just read the slide. I just want to get it out of the way. Take 0 for input argument. So we don't always have to send a value to a function for it to send something back to us. We can call system.println without any functions and it will do something. Returns one output value. Well, that's not true. Well, it's kind of maybe no, who knows? We'll see in a second. Application. So we'll see in a minute that functions are not only what we think of as functions at school. It's not as if we have a complex thing like sign. Well, let's write our own function. It's going to tell us how to do that in a second, but let's start on our own. Seems to work. Right. Oh, give me a second. Okay. There we go. Nice and big. Public class my function. Let's start with the kind of function that you know from school. I talk about school, but I know some of you haven't been to school in a while. But you do remember mathematics, and you're doing maths now, aren't you? You learn all kinds of functions. What kind of functions do you learn? Anything new? Any new functions anybody want to propose? Absolute value. Didn't you do that at school? Oh, Okay, cool. Well, there is a math called apps that does what absolute value function does in mathematics. But let's write our own. I want to write my own absolute value function. So public static void, no, void args. And I'm going to start by saying x is 55, and then I'm going to say absolute value of x is absolute of x. Oh man, I don't like that sound. Okay. Right. So I want to write and call my own absolute value function, and this is that function for the school. So, basically, we have been using and writing our own function all this time. Main is a function. Main is a function that takes some arguments as inputs and processes them in some way, and it sends back a value. But the value it sends back is nothing. It sends back a nothing value. And that's why the type of the main function is void. The public static we are always going to write, at least until the second semester, but the void we can change. We can tell Java that I want a function, in this case called main, that sends back a void value. So a void is empty. We know what a void is, don't we? What's a void in Afrikaans? Leemte. It's something that kind of doesn't exist. And in many programming languages, it's used to denote a non-value or empty value. So main doesn't say anything back. You can see that it doesn't even try to do that. But now I want to implement absolute. So I'm going to write my absolute value function, public static always, absolute. I want a function called absolute, and it's going to send back an integer. So I tell Java that I expect an int back from absolute, and it's going to take one value that is also an integer. So I'm sending over x, that's the value I send over. When I write that, Java will say, Jaco wants to call the absolute function with the value of x. X contains minus 55. So I'll send over minus 55, absolute. The value is sent over, not x in essence. And on the receiving end, absolute starts executing when it's invoked. So this is an invocation. And when I invoke absolute, it starts executing at the start. It receives minus 55, and in absolute, that value is called value. Now, I've confused things by calling it value, so I'll call it V. That value that's sent over in absolute is stored in V. It's called V. So I can do things with V and send back some value. I have to send back something because this function promises to send back an int. I have to send back an int. Why is there still a light on? I don't mind, I just want to know. Oh, no, stop. Didn't know to do that. Okay, fine. Sorry, YouTube. It's light in class. Seems oddly spotlighted some people. All right, okay. So I have to decide what absolute value is going to compute. Well, if V is greater than 0, just send back V. Else, send back minus V. I mean, that's what absolute value is supposed to do. It's supposed to check if it's a negative value, it negates it. It says minus V. And if it's already positive, it just sends back V as it is. Now, how do we send things back? Well, I kind of lied to you last week or the week before when I said we've done all the possible keywords because I was forgetting that there is one more keyword. Always, every week there'll be one more keyword. But there's a new keyword you can learn today, which is called return. And here, after return, I write the value I want to send back. I want to send back minus v, or I want to send back b. So main in line 13 calls or invokes the absolute function. I've already defined the absolute function, so Java knows about it. It goes up and says, okay, Jack is calling, invoking absolute with minus 55. Start executing the absolute function with a value, a v of minus 55. Start by executing its statement. So the first statement is if. If this is true, then do this, else do this. And as soon as it hits a return statement, it'll stop. It will stop immediately because it thinks that I have actually done my work. So if I put in anything else down here, it won't be printed. As soon as Java hits the return, it will send back the value. So let's just trace it. Minus 55 goes over, it's stored in V. Is minus 55 greater than 0? No, it's false. So it goes to the else part of my if statement. Return minus 55, so that's plus 55. It's a return statement. Immediately it sends back return 55. And that's what the value of this absolute invocation will be in line 14. So it's 55 that comes back here. And in fact, it's part of a variable declaration. I'm declaring A to be an int variable, and its initial value is whatever is on the right-hand side. That happens to be 55. So 55 is stored in A. This should be printing X is minus 55, A is plus 55. Let's just see if that happens. Java C, my function. Not using standard in or standard out, so I can standard draw, so I can just do that. Oh, no, it's using Cytem. My mistakey system. Oh, damn Java, damn you! Okay, so it says that I can't even write that system without the bullet line because it's unreachable code. Where does it say that? Oh, here it is. Okay, it's unreachable statement. Java will never reach the statement, so it knows that I made a mistake. I shouldn't be writing code that cannot execute. So Java's a little too clever. I wonder if I can switch off the sleeves. Probably not. Fine. I'll just leave it. No, just come. Perhaps I can fix that little mistake. Oh, I can fix mistake. Oh. Right, so it compiled, and now it's going to execute. And exactly as we expected, it prints out that A is 55, which is absolute value of minus 55. So we can write our own functions. And I wrote this one to demonstrate to you that it's something that we kind of know from mathematics. But we are going to do more than just write these kinds of mathematical functions. For example, in the last class, we started with our project, and we call it project.java. Oh, no. Okay. We started our project and we had a grid which contained our blocks, what have you. And then we had two nested for loops that were supposed to draw the grid on the screen. And if you recall correctly, that didn't work out too well. Man, okay, perhaps if I just do this. Okay. It didn't work out too well. If I run it, it should be in here. Oh, it's going to be so much stuff. Java, CP, standard lib. You must just assume that all these funny noises is part of an experimental electronic music soundtrack that we are running currently. So it just printed out this, and it didn't look really nice. So let's think about it. What if I have to draw the board? Let's pretend that it works for now, and that I want to draw the board many times during my execution of my project. So not only once, but I want to do it over and over and over. I'll have to write this code over and over and over. Okay. So there I'm actually drawing the board 3 times. And if I discover my mistake, why it's all black, if I discover that mistake and I fix it, I have to remember to fix it in 3 different places. That's bad. Because if I forget to fix it in one of the places, when that code executes, it's going to draw the screen in the wrong way. So we are going to use a function instead of repeating the code. It'll make my code smaller because I won't have this repeated code to do it over and over and over in different places. I'm centralizing my code so that if I fix it once, it's fixed every time I call that function. So I'm going to put this drawing the grid function code in a function of its own. I'm going to say public static. Okay, now I have to decide what is it going to send back. But it doesn't really send back anything. It's just doing something for me. It's just drawing the board. I'll call it grid. So we can take this code out of here, put it in here, still nicely indented. And instead of calling it, writing the code 3 times, I can say draw grid. Just call it 3 times. I will draw the grid 3 times over. There is a small mistake here in this code. And it won't compile. But in essence, I've done the right thing. I've taken out, factored out, just like in mathematics, I factored out a common expression, common piece of code that's been used over and over. I put it in one place, and now I can manipulate it in different ways. I can make my draw grid much fancier. I don't have to change code in many places. My code looks neater. Somebody reads the main function. They don't even have to understand draw grid. If the name is clear enough, they know that I'm drawing the grid, and they can carry on reading. They don't have to first understand each and every line of the function that I've just written. Okay, but there's a small mistake. Things aren't always as easy as this. First, I need to know if you're all awake, because you look a little glum. Did you just have bad news? One of the other lecturers died? Test results? Are you tired, hungry, sleepy? That's it. Have a little low-level mutter. Let's see if I can find videos. Exactly the right time. So you should know that everybody, even people who are really interested in the topic, lose the concentration dips after 20 minutes. So if you're in the class for 20 minutes, nothing is happening, you are going to start falling asleep. So if the lecturer doesn't do anything after 20 minutes, you should do something yourself. You know, lift your kilt, do a little twirl, do something. You don't have to do it now because I'm doing it, okay? No one wants to see your kilt. Oh, I don't have my racing tire here. I've shown you anti-boredom. Did you know? No, that's not boring. One of those days. Oh, it's a great video, but I think I've shown it to you. Yeah. And I've shown it. Okay, I must have racing tire. I must have. It's not possible that it's. Yes, search. 0 items. No, it's because I'm searching videos. Okay. Racing tire. I've got lots of stuff. But not racing tire. Oh, that's a real pity. Well, I'll bring it along tomorrow. In the meantime, let's just watch Did You Know? It's a longish video. It's a couple of minutes. Have I shown it to you? No, I haven't. Okay, right. It's old. It's 2006. I mean, that's 9 years ago. But the information is still pretty exciting. It was made for school children or these teachers. So that's why it's all odd at the end, asking you about your children, you know, what they've been taught, all that stuff. And the info is a little outdated, but it still has a fascinating stuff. So let's have a looky. Let's see. It's a little old, but it's the best one. They've made updates, but it's not the same. Well, they're 9 years old, so. It's not just not really hard. I'm going to start about teaching. It's fascinating stuff, but blah, blah, blah. I'll just shift a little. Ask your principal. Yes, fascinating. Okay, excellent. Let's go back. Just trying to find out the interesting stuff. Set it. Oh, well, maybe. Who knows? I'll just stop it. You've seen all the, there's nothing more. Perhaps I want to show you one thing. No, I don't want to ask my principal anything. Oh, there we go. So this idea of a paradigm shift, things are changing so fast. And it must be weird if you see video presentations like this, because people always manipulating you, trying to make you think a certain way, playing music to help with that. But what some of the things in this video are facts. The top country in the world was Great Britain, and in 100 years' time that changed. So in 100 years' time, the USA or China, who knows, will not be the leaders, superpower that they are today. I don't think anybody would say that Britain is a leading country today, really. So these kind of shifts, paradigm shifts, happen. 100 years ago, we didn't have computers, and now they're kind of central to our lives. And perhaps 100 years from now, we won't have computers again. There'll be something else. Maybe no humans. So who cares? Okay. Anyways, that didn't seem to me to wake you up, but never mind. I like the music mostly for that. Yeah. Okay, let's just get back to something. Let's get back to this little screen that I was working on. Okay. I was saying that this project file of mine won't compile. it's not going to take a while because Java will complain about something. I am using grid in here. In function drawGrid, I'm trying to use the variable grid. It's an array, a two-dimensional array, but drawGrid doesn't know about it. Even though in the history of things, as things executed, main started executing, it declared grid, and then it called drawGrid. So you'd think that the grid will know about this grid variable. But that's not true. I mean, we've seen instances before. Where I can write some kind of for loop. Inside, I can make a variable r with some kind of value. And then afterwards, I can't print r. R doesn't exist at this point. System.out.println r. Because r was declared inside this for loop. And when the for loop ended, r disappeared. So the scope of R is limited to that for loop. And in the same way, the scope of grid is limited to function main. I can't use grid in drawGrid. So what do? I do what I always do. I send it over as a parameter. Now grid is a whole array, but we know that we can send arrays. Here's an array of string that we call args. So I can easily send arrays over to other parts of the program. It's a two-dimensional array of integers called grid. So this is fine, and this will work, except of course it won't because it's not drawing properly. Do I want to fix it now? No, I don't. I'll fix it on Friday. Okay. I'll fix it on Friday. So let's get back to the slides, because I think we've covered a lot of what they want to say. They say that there's a signature at the top. I want to implement the function. In this case, they implemented square root. And then they give the implementation of square root on this slide, and they identify the different parts. They say this whole first line is called the signature. That's true, I didn't tell you that. Public static double square root of double C. It's called the signature, but we don't really use that term much, and we don't really use it much in Java. Return type is double, we know that. Method name, okay, right. So we're writing these things as functions, but also called method. I should have mentioned that. Method or function name is square root. Then there's an argument type, it's double, and the argument variable or name is C. And then there's an open brace and a close brace at the end, and this is the content of this function. So it declares some of its own variables that won't be visible outside the function. It has a body, well, the whole thing is its body. It has a little while loop, they've got to put the braces, and it has the code. And in fact, it calls other methods, it calls other functions. It's calling math.abs, which happen to sit inside the math library. This is on. No, it's not. Oh, well, I'm not hearing my familiar feedback. Okay, so it happens to sit inside the math library, but it needn't be. It could have been another function that I've declared. Let's do a little bit of that. So this is drawGrid. It has two nested for loops, one to go row by row and draw my grid. And inside this first for loop, I have code to draw one row of the grid. Well, this isn't exactly code I repeat, but I could factor it out. I could take this code and put it in a different function that I'm going to call, it doesn't send back anything, I'm going to call this draw row. This code, I want to move up here. And here, I'm simply going to call draw row. And in some sense, this is how I've told you before you should be programming. When you write your program, you start with writing this for loop, and then instead of writing the code, you just put a little comment that says draw one row of grid. I mean, that's in some sense how I hope you've been programming. By just writing down the steps, instead of thinking about them immediately, just writing down what's supposed to happen here. But we can now do that with functions. We can write this code and say, I want to draw one row, and that's it. And once again, draw row, this won't work, but we can compile, because draw row talks about grid, which it doesn't know, and it also talks about R. Draw row uses grid and R. It doesn't know about those. They don't exist inside draw row. So the arguments I have to send over. Draw grid receives grid as an argument, and it'll pass it along to draw row. And it also has its own local variable R, it's used in the for loop, that it'll pass along. So draw row must expect an integer array called grid and another int called row. Inside here, I'm going to change R, I'm going to call it row. I don't have to give the same name to the parameter as the one I'm sending over. Here I'm sending over the value of R in line 13, but on the other hand, in my method, it starts by expecting a parameter called row. Whatever value is passed to draw row, it'll put that value in its row variable, in its row argument. I've made a mistake, haven't I? That's what you want to tell me. I can sense it. I can sense you this is row. You still have this, oh, what does this come from? How dare you? Did I?
Draw row and draw grid.
What do you want?
In the draw grid method.
Yes.
When you call draw row.
Yes. I did R, yes.
But you also don't have a row variable.
Very true, I don't. I've not declared a raw or a row variable in draw grid. Draw grid declares a variable called R. It uses it in the for loop. And R is just going to go 0, 1, 2, stop. And inside the for loop, every iteration, I invoke function or method draw row, and I send over grid, which is the grid I received as an argument, and I send over R. Do you believe me? You're nodding as if I'm boring you, but it's this exciting stuff because you're wrong and I'm right. There's always something to celebrate. So careful now, I'm going to do a little trick. So I'm sending over grid and R. And when I invoke draw row, Java's going to jump in and start executing. And the grid I'm sending over is going to be stored in something that also happens to be called grid. But the value of row I send over is going to be stored in something called row. So inside draw row, those values, the grid is called grid, and the row is called row. I did send over R, but the value is put inside row. Do you believe me? Okay. You guys are too young. Okay. Silence. Actually saw the new Battlestar like. Never mind. Okay, right. Are you still unhappy? That sounds like you were never happy. Okay, right. So, is it worth doing this even further? I mean, I could say I need another function called draw cell. It'll obviously take some kind of grid and a row number and a column number, and it'll do this stuff. Let's see. But this is getting a little ridiculous. I think I'm taking it too far if I do this. I really wouldn't do this. I wouldn't even do draw row. Because the code is not repeated, and I did it mainly to tell you that your own methods, your own functions, you can call other methods and functions that you've defined. Oakley dokley. Right. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So this is everything I told you, except more complicated. So they're talking about the scope of variables, where variables are declared and where they can be used. So here they declare I, and then they call their function square root. And square root can't see I at all, but it declares t and also declares epsilon. And it also has an argument called c. And c and epsilon and t are only alive in this method. Once it terminates, once it stops, once it returns something, as here, return t, or as there, return that value. Once it does that, those variables disappear. The value is sent back, and the code carries on executing where I actually called square root. Best practice, declare variables to limit their scope. We try to declare variables as close to where they're used as possible. So they're not left lying around. It's not for the benefit of the computer. It has enough memory. It's for our own benefit, so that we're not confused by the fact that here's an R variable being used. What is it? Why is it being used here? What does it do? Where does it come from? I try to limit the scope, like the scope of variables as small as possible. Flow of control, it just says how it's invoked and it's beautiful and all that. Summary, challenge. Oh, let's just do one challenge before you go to whatever you go to. What happens when you compile and run the following code? Is that the solution? Oh, that's pretty boring. Do all of them have? Ooh. Ooh. Okay, right. So this is the challenge. Let's show the answer on the screen. So I've got my main function. It is in this parse in arg0, so it takes an argument, command line argument, that's fine. Then it has a for loop from I to n, so that's the number of things I want to do, 10 let's say, or 6. 6 times it says print I, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus cube of I. And cube is a function we define ourselves. It returns an int, it takes an int parameter, it says declare a new variable j that's equal to I times I, obviously the cube of I, and return that j, return the value of that j. So it's going to return the cube of I in here, and print it on the screen, and this is exactly what happens. No time. I'll do the challenges on Friday. There are like 4 of them. Okay, look, I'm going to stop. There it goes.